wonderful people. This is See You Next Time. We're here once again to swim in the sea of entitlement and bask in an ocean of delicious, delicious judgment.
Terrible.
Today's fresh crop of crap involves mothers of all stripes. We've got 'em pissed up and ruining weddings, whiny as feck and overbearing, whiny as feck and underbearing. We've got 'em threatening a kidnapping, planning a mafia hit,
Organized crime.
and demanding to get up close and personal with their daughter's foo-foo kachoo. I think you'll agree that all sounds perfectly normal. Everything is in its place, and there's nothing to see here. Officer.
I'm going to go home and just probably go straight to bed. Just keep out of trouble.
Let's get into it. This one's from Cute Mouse. Sister passive-aggressive thinks the world revolves around her son. Hi all. So my awesome husband spends a few hours every other week leading a youth group for boys aged 8 to 12 with a couple of other male adults. He does an amazing job. He does these fun activities for them, spending hours Googling ideas and planning. He's also one of the leaders who's stuck around long term and gotten to know each of the boys. He even uses some of our own funds for these activities, which is totally fine. I love that he volunteers sometimes to kiddos that need it. The mother of one of these boys we call Sister Passive-Aggressive because she is passively, or sometimes just downright, rude in the group chat the leaders have with the parents. She's also very active in our local church and acts very holier than thou, hence the sister in her name. Anyway, so my husband texted the group chat a couple of weeks ago, letting the parents know the activity is cancelled this week because we're going out of town, and the only other leader who does anything is also going out of town. The other two are so unreliable, they said they wouldn't be showing up either. So, activity cancelled. Not a huge deal, right? It's the first time this year that this has happened, with the exception of the holidays. Sister passive-aggressive flipped her lid, questioning why they were cancelling and how it was so inconvenient for her and her precious little baby boy. She texted each leader individually with her complaints, which I thought was wildly inappropriate. My husband just told her to take it up with a youth organisation who oversees these things. But me, being the petty person that I am, I want to give her a piece of my mind. My husband is donating lots of time and a bit of money even to make sure your son has fun, and you're whining due to calling off one activity. Lady, please. She could be at least a little grateful, for heck's sake. Oh yeah, agreed 100%. Stuff like this gets right on my tits. Having a go at people who are providing you something valuable for free because you've gotten so used to it that you think you deserve it and that you and your crotch fruit are entitled to their time and money. Out-fucking-rageous. This one's from Lightning Fall. My 24-year-old female mum demanded to be present during my gynecology exam and barged in. To clear it up, OP's 24 and her mum's in her 50s. My mum knew about my appointment and that I was going to be examined, with clothing removed. She wanted to accompany me last minute for support, and I couldn't argue with her to stay home or I'd be late. I thought that she'd wait outside. She's done so before for other types of appointments, but instead she tried to go in with me. The staff kept her out, and later she knocked on the door and walked into the appointment saying that she needed to tell my doctor about my family medical history. I'd already told my doctor all of it. She was taken out of the room and the door was locked. When I left the hospital, she wasn't there anymore and was upset that I kept her out. I told her it was a very private thing to be asked about your past relationships and getting examined. I'm extremely shy with my body and it's always hard for me to do these things. So of course I didn't want her there, or would even think for her to want to be there. She told me that she wants grandchildren and she is my mum, therefore it's not that big a deal for her to be with me during my visit, and that I should stop acting like my body is sacred, since I would need to get used to other people, medical staff, seeing it. She also told me that my dad is always with her whenever she needed to be examined, so I should allow her to be there with me. I told her a spouse is way different than a parent, and that since she hates to talk about sex and has slut-shamed me in the past, she's very religious and hated to see me with anyone. There was no reason for her to be there. Edit. I wanted to clarify something. At the time of the appointment, I was temporarily living with my family, so she knew I was going to the hospital and forced me to tell her why. If I disagree with her, she will try to make my life hell and make my family turn against me. Also, the appointment was not related to fertility or pregnancy. I don't live with them anymore, so she doesn't know about my life as I went low contact. As a disembodied voice, my gynecology appointments are slightly different to those for a 24-year-old woman, but I'm somewhat familiar with this type of behaviour. It's clear that there's an issue with boundaries here. Your mum has no right and no business being in there without your consent. And yeah, as mentioned in the post, it's pretty weird that she wanted to be in there in the first place. I'm sure it comes from a place of love and compassion, but that doesn't stop it from landing in a place of coercion and control. This one's from Cogita Mori, which means thinking in Latin, if you're interested. My mother low-key spoilt my wedding. So, there's a lot of context leading up to the drama, which I'll do my best to sum up. But basically, me and my partner decided to have a child-free wedding, and my brother and mother were absolutely horrified. Told me I was ripping the family apart, etc., etc., ruined my engagement, the whole shebang. Fast forward a few months, and my brother has largely moved on, and my mother is trying her best but still has an occasional strop about it. Now, the day before the wedding, all hell breaks loose. My other brother, who, bless him, is the only person who didn't upset me during the planning of the wedding, calls me and says he has COVID. Fuck. We have a number of vulnerable people coming and can't risk anyone getting ill. I'm really close to him and devastated he can't come. I call my mother in tears, and instead of reassuring me that the wedding will still be lovely or anything like that, she admits the wedding will be shit and is largely upset about all the food she's bought that will now go to waste. So I'm furious, and as we argue, she insinuates that everyone thinks less of me because of the whole child-free shit. She then emotionally blackmails me into inviting my sister-in-law and young niece, because if I don't, she won't have anyone to talk to. I said I was glad I was going to become a member of a different family. Not my finest moment, admittedly, but I'd reached the end of my tether. Skip to the evening. I'm heading to my mother's for the night with my maid of honour. I call my mother to let her know we're on our way, and she's hammered. She can barely string a sentence together. We arrive, and I have to look after her. My maid of honour makes us dinner. We have to collect the flowers without her, and neither of us drive. I'm trying to sober her up. All the while she's phoning and messaging her friends, telling them that my wedding is a disaster. Lovely. I'm so angry by this point I can barely keep it together. The wedding day arrives and, all things considered, was absolutely wonderful. My mother barely spoke to me and we haven't spoken properly since the wedding, about 3 weeks ago. No apology, nothing. The kicker is that her response to my brother when he said how hurt I am was to say, "We're both hurt." So there's a better chance of hell freezing over than her actually taking responsibility for her actions. I'm at a loss here in how to move forward. I don't want to speak to her first because I know she won't apologise, but I don't think I can just brush this under the carpet. Am I overreacting? This is pretty bizarre and it reeks of a mother who just delights in drama and being the centre of attention as a poor, defenceless victim of circumstance. It's not clear what the impact of going child-free actually had on the day, like how many people couldn't or wouldn't come, but it sounds like it wasn't all that dramatic. To be honest, you'd think that plenty of the parents would have jumped on the opportunity to let their hair down a little. Your mum getting wasted was certainly inconsiderate, though I can absolutely relate to situations where people have done the same thing by an error of judgment rather than malice. It's also possible she doesn't recall what happened and is unsure of the situation and doesn't want to contact you because of that. Long story short, it sounds to me like if you want to resolve this, you're going to have to be the one to reach out and have an adult conversation. But I'd be prepared to say your piece and just accept whatever comes, even if there's no apology forthcoming. Yeah, to be honest, it doesn't sound like you're going to get an admittance of wrongdoing on her part. Whether this is enough for you to cut ties with her is something for you to decide. This one's from Forward Form. My mum is a complete psychopath. Yesterday, I brought up to my mum about a possible surgery. I have heart disease that involves a stent being placed in my aorta since it's starting to narrow like it did when I was a baby. She said no, because she thinks my doctor's just doing it for money, and if I go through with it, it takes away the miracle that God supposedly did to balloon my narrowed aorta when I was a baby. That isn't even close to the worst part. A little after that, my mum said, out loud in a public restaurant with people nearby, that my grandfather has ties to the mob if something goes wrong. Basically, she's saying that if I somehow die during the surgery, that she's gonna order a hit on my doctor. I can't even look at my family the same anymore. Now it makes me wonder if other family members are still involved in the mob business, let alone how many dark secrets she's been hiding from me since I was a kid. It also got me to thinking about something my dad said to her years ago during one of his manic episodes. Now that this came out, it's starting to make me believe that he wasn't just talking crazy. He told her, verbatim, that, "Your dad and your brother sent the mafia after me." Just to think that my grandfather and uncle possibly sent an attempted hit job on my own dad is absolutely terrifying. Side note, the mob my mum is talking about my grandpa having connections to isn't just any mob. It's the Mexican mafia, who have direct connects to the cartels, and those dudes aren't like the Italians or the Irish who mainly kill those who mess with their money. They'll cut a random civilian's head off and stick it on a stop sign just to send a message to the police to stay off their turf. My dad's side's from Mexico, so I've heard my share of stories. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I know you can keep your mouth shut. I actually have extensive knowledge of the socio-political landscape of the Mexican drug cartels through close personal relationships with some of the major players. Well, that plus my own imagination.
My name is Teresa Mendoza. I am from Mexico. Now, I run the biggest drug empire in the Western Hemisphere.
I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
So it's with some considerable authority I can tell you that these cartel types really are rather a bunch of ruffians. But yeah, to be honest, this sounds like a mum who is absolutely terrified for her little boy going under the knife, and she's trying to put a brave front on it. It looks to me like you're not sure if your family really is involved in all that stuff. Maybe they are connected like that, maybe they're not. Either way, this seems like fear-based bluster and bravado on your mum's part, and calling her a psychopath is a bit of a stretch, I reckon. I feel like she's trying to let you know that she's got your back, but she's still processing everything and her head's a bit screwy. However, if she actually tries to arrange a hit on this random doctor, I take that all back and agree that she's a wackadoodle psycho.
But the game is out there, and it's either play or get played.
This one's from See You Later. Entitled mother got mad at the zoo because my boyfriend refused to fake kidnapping her child. Yes, it is as wild as the title sounds. Me and my boyfriend were at the zoo enjoying our day as we had some very rare sunshine in England. It was packed with screaming kids, and we were standing at the lion cage, and there was a kid screaming because no one could see the lions, and the kid's, I'm guessing, mother turned around and said to the child,
"Chardonnay, if you don't stop crying, that scary bad man next to you is going to kidnap you and take you away, and you'll never see anyone you love again."
Like, what the fuck? I'm just assuming the kid was called Chardonnay. I stand by it. I overheard this and started laughing because I was so confused. My boyfriend just ignored it, and then the woman tapped him and said, Go on, tell her that you'll take her away if she doesn't stop crying. When my boyfriend said no, she got mad at us. She said we're a selfish couple and it's clear that we don't have kids of our own, or else we would know what it's like and help her. She then proceeded to call us more names before grabbing the kid and storming off. What is wrong with some people, honestly? As if we will pretend to kidnap a child. Yeah. As if anyone's going to pretend to kidnap a stranger's child. The obvious answer here, you kidnap the kid for real and sell it. Job done. And with that prelude to a life of people trafficking, today's foray into the tortured, twisted minds of the entitled is successfully completed. Perhaps you'd like to gather a group of similarly minded people and lie on the floor in a circle with your heads together and your brains connected, preferably directly using hyper cables, but head doodahs or flesh pods will do in a pinch. Now would be the perfect time to like, comment and subscribe. And as your thoughts all begin to flow together, you're encouraged to click the wee bell icon so you can be updated when new shit appears on this channel. And remember, most importantly, the chic, charismatic, and certifiable girl in my head says, "Icky, icky, icky, ftang, ftang, bum." Well, I did mention that she's certifiable.
See?
You
Next.
time.